Hello, everybody. It's been a few weeks. I don't know why I'm doing this, really, but why not? So, real quick on ARVN, it just came out that eCore 1 did sell their entire position as of March 31st. I knew this. I mentioned it in my last YouTube. Um, it's pretty impossible to spin it as a positive, except that I've known it for over a month. My only guess is that they sold it because the operating partner, Adam, thought that if it didn't hit an ITT, that there was no way Pfizer was going to move forward with the other phase 3 trials. I'm confident that Adam doesn't know what the actual ASCO data is that's coming up, and I'm confident that they don't know any other kind of shoes to drop. The problem is that they sold it at half cash, right? They probably got 650 to 7. Well, actually, they might have got up to over $8 when they sold it. I think they sold it. It's my understanding they probably could have sold it that first day when it was trading above 8 with $12 in cash. But it's not a good sign when your largest shareholder owns 15% of the company decides to liquidate it and not stick around to see what happens with the rest of the pipeline, to see what happens with the Pfizer partnership, especially when Adam's a former Pfizer employee. So it's very hard to spin it positively, except that what I've said. They probably sold this over 2 months ago, and they don't have access to anything material. My friend Andrew actually pointed out that this isn't the first time they've done this. There was another drug they own, another company they owned over 10% of, that also presented top line data and said they were going to have the full data at a conference. I can't remember. It starts with a K. I can't remember what ticker it is. And they sold the entire position before they saw the data at the conference. So I remain pretty bullish on Arvinus. I added yesterday and I'm adding today. It's a big position. I'm not super confident in the big upside case anymore, where this gets to 10, 12, $14. You would need kind of a miracle for that to happen. But the way I look at it is you have like probably $1 down and 2 to 4 up into ASCO and also into a Pfizer renegotiation of their partnership. The other thing I want to add is they put out Form 4s a couple days ago, and they granted stock and options to all of their C-suite except for the CEO. And this is the second package of the year when they've never given options and stock out before outside of the normal course of action, which is in February or January. And this is very bizarre to do this 2 weeks before ASCO, before a Pfizer renegotiation. They most likely wouldn't do that if they're about to blow the stock up again. It's kind of immoral that they're issuing all this stock when they're in possession of material non-public information and they're diluting us at half cash. So don't love that either. But as I said in my email to them, if the board each granted themselves 1% of the company, at least we'd finally be aligned and we could hope that they would act in the best interest of shareholders. And because currently they own no stock. So that's my Arvinus. And price is everything. When it was at 775, I was trimming it, and now I'm buying it back because again, when you're looking at discounts to cash, there's a big difference between 8 when it's 12 in cash and 6 when there's 12 in cash. So anyway, the other thing I want to talk about is SGRY. I made that big again. They reported earnings, and they did not kill the process. Earnings were mostly fine, nothing material off of what matters, a little bit weak. And just a reminder there, Bain owns 40% of the company, and they bid $25.75 for it at the end of January. And that was a lowball offer. It's like a 20-25% premium off of unaffected. And it more likely should be a 40 or 50% premium for a squeeze out like that. I believe that'll get sold for somewhere between $27.50 and $30 a share, probably in the next 4 to 8 weeks. I was concerned when the market went south that you can't pull off an LBO like that, even if they don't put on much more debt. Now the market's completely recovered, and hospital stocks are at kind of year highs. It's not a hospital stock, but it's the closest thing to one. And I'm not so sure why it's trading at such a discount to the 25.75, which isn't even the price it would sell for. Is more likely to sell, like I said, for 27.50 to 30. But that's how these squeeze outs work. This is much different than Target Hospitality. The sponsor here is a blue chip private equity firm, Bain, not TDR, a run of the mill kind of sketch European private equity firm that only has one position in America. Also, this business is much higher quality than Target was. This doesn't have any kind of one-time government risk with either a contract or with Medicare, Medicaid. None of that's a risk here or a factor. So we can't really wake up to anything that Trump does or the Trump administration does to kill this business. So the way I look at it is my downside is probably 18 if there's no deal, and my upside is 27.50 to 28.50. And I kind of think there's a 90% chance that something happens. There's a 5 to 10% chance that a strategic buyer comes in. This was heavily shopped last year, and they didn't sell it. You should go read the Bain letter that's attached to their 13D at the end of January, and it explains the whole situation pretty well. The last thing I want to say is the executive chairman of Surgery Partners is a Surgery Centers is a Bain employee, Bain partner, and he also owns and controls 1 million shares of SGRY, and he's an operating executive at SGRY. And if you read the last 2 conference calls, you can see he's removed himself from most of the business while this bid is ongoing, and he's obviously an integral part of the business. So I think that they would have killed the process as soon as they knew they were going to, so that they could get this guy back into the business. And they didn't kill the process this week on Monday when they reported earnings. So that kind of gives me pretty good confidence that there is going to be something that happens here. I just don't know the timing. My guess would be in the next 4 to 8 weeks. I think that's about it. Had nothing else to say. Good luck, everybody.